AG Barr, I'd like to also talk about the violent protests that are being seen in Seattle, specifically CHAZ, and also Portland, Oregon. As you know, over the course of June and early July, several shootings occurred inside Seattle's police-free zone, including the tragic murders of a 16-year-old and a 19-year-old. There were numerous reports of robberies, assaults, and property destruction as well.
Sexual assaults as well.
Yes, and despite all this chaos, all this violence, it took the Seattle mayor literally weeks to declare this an unlawful gathering, and took weeks before the police were allowed to clear that area. In similar circumstances, let's talk about Portland, Oregon. It's been going through 8 weeks of violent rioting in the streets as well. Rioters continue, in fact, to fire projectiles and mortar-style fireworks at federal law enforcement officers, and are using dangerous lasers, which have already permanently blinded at least 3 federal officers. Yet our own Chairman Jerry Nadler, told a reporter on Sunday that the anarchy and violence going on in Portland, and I quote the chairman, is a myth that is spread only in Washington, D.C., end quote. Attorney General Barr, is it in fact a myth that there's anarchy and anarchist groups engaging in violence in Portland?
I think there are anarchist and far left groups that are involved in the violence in Portland. I actually think that the chairman's comment was about Antifa. I don't know exactly what he said, but I thought he was referring to Antifa.
Well, do you think it's a myth that Antifa is involved in this anarchy?
No, I think Antifa is involved in Portland.
So either way, the chairman's comments were not correct, were not accurate.
I didn't consider them accurate.
What about the autonomous zone in Seattle? Congresswoman Jayapal has said, and I quote, that it's a peaceful protest zone. Is it a peaceful protest zone?
No, as I already said, it's outrageous that people set themselves up and over a piece of territory where the people in there have not selected them as the government and try to exercise sovereign authority. That's an outrage, and we saw people handing out guns to people to quote keep the peace and so forth. It was anarchy there.
Your office has already charged several violent protesters with federal crimes. Can you just briefly elaborate on those crimes?
Well, the whole gamut. I think we've had 224. They run the gamut from throwing Molotov cocktails to assaulting a police officer, that kind of thing.
Thank you, AG Barr. I just want to say that I think, and I don't know if you agree, that CHAZ and Portland are really like political experiments. They really show us what would happen if we fully embrace the radical ideology of the social justice Democrats. And now, according to Democrats, it's the summer of love. According to the Congresswoman that represents Seattle, it's a peaceful protest zone. Attorney General Barr, in reality, these cities are experiencing violence, chaos, and frankly, just anarchy. So I think this political experiment has showed us that the liberal, social justice, Democrat-style government has failed. Would you like to comment on that, Attorney General Barr?
Well, when I was first going through confirmation, I expressed concern about violence getting into our political system, and we'd seen this intolerance and attacking people, and I was very worried about that. And now we've seen it sweeping through the country like this, and I hope the Democratic Party takes a stand against the violence.
Thank you, and I yield my time.